All right, here's a really fun personal story that Indiana fans will really enjoy. So back in the summer of 2015, which was the summer after my junior year of high school, I'll probably put like a picture up of what I look like junior year of high school. And because George Hill was, and I think still is, signed to a Chinese shoe company called Peak, he went on a China tour. At that time, I was in China interning for a sports company, the biggest sports company in China called Tencent Sports. And Tencent Sports wanted to cover the George Hill tour. And I think the people at Tencent were just like, hey, you there, Mark, you speak good English, right? And I was like, yeah, my English is pretty good. You want to interview George Hill? I'm like, yes.
My colleague in an earlier interview with Tencent Sports said that this is the golden age for NBA point guards. Would you agree with that statement?
I don't know. I just play the game, man.
And so yeah, then I got to interview George Hill. The interview didn't last long. I think it was around 10 minutes. I just asked him some basic questions about how he liked China and some questions about his upcoming season. And yeah, George Hill was the first NBA player I'd ever interviewed. And it was a really, really cool opportunity. He's a super, super cool dude, super chill. And I'd love to see George Hill retire actually with the Indiana Pacers because that's his hometown team. But anyways, yeah, I thought I'd just share that story. Let's get into what you're probably here for actually, which is the Indiana Pacers upcoming season. Off-season review. With the 23rd overall pick, the Pacers took Aaron Holiday. With the 50th pick, they took Alizai Johnson. And in free agency, they signed Tyreke Evans to 1 year and $12 million, Doug McDermott to a 3-year, $22 million deal, Kyle O'Quinn for 1 year and $4.4 million. And in the offseason, they lost Al Jefferson, who they waived, and Lance Stevenson, who went to the Lakers, and Glenn Robinson III went to Detroit. Let's start off with Aaron Holiday, the first round draft pick. I really, really like this pick. The Pacers definitely needed some guard depth, both for this next season and for the future. Aaron Holiday is a 3-year player out of UCLA. As you might have guessed, he is the younger brother of Drew and Justin Holiday, and he's also the shortest of the brothers, standing at about 6'1". Although realistically, he looks barely 6'0". I mean, he looks like Chris Paul size. Now, despite his size, Aaron Holiday was one of the best players in college last season, averaging 20 points per game, 5.8 assists per game with good shooting splits. Most notably, he made 88 out of 205 three-pointers, which comes out to about 42.9%, and shooting looks to be his biggest weapon at the NBA level. Defensively, even though he was first-team all-defense, playing defense in the Pac-12 is almost an entirely different game than playing defense in the NBA. The size, like mentioned, is the biggest difference. And honestly, we've seen very few guards in the NBA at his size be good defenders. I mean, Chris Paul really is the only one that I can think of off the top of my mind. And then they also drafted Alizai Johnson. He's a 22-year-old rookie. Seems like a player who doesn't do any particular thing well. Pretty raw overall player. At 6'9", he actually has the prototype body to be a stretch 4 and switch defender in the league. And like many rookies coming into the league, if this guy can just develop a consistent three-point shot, that'll earn him at least 10 minutes or 15 minutes per game. But I'm not sure how much he'll actually play though. We'll see. In free agency, okay, they signed Kyle O'Quinn, which I absolutely love the signing. I always thought that Kyle O'Quinn was one of the most underrated role players in the entire league. You can play him at either center or power forward next to Turner or Sabonis. Doug McDermott was the signing they made to address their three-point shooting problem. The Pacers, despite winning 48 games last year, actually was bottom 5 in the league. And while Doug McDermott has not and will never be able to guard NBA forwards, the guy can absolutely shoot the lights out. And 3 years, $22 million is also a very tradable contract in case things don't go very well. And then, of course, Tyreke Evans for a 1-year deal, a great signing as well. The Pacers definitely needed some more playmakers on the wing, since often they had to rely too much on Oladipo to initiate all of their action. Losing Lance Stevenson, I have to say, could even be a good thing too. I know Indiana fans love Lance Stevenson, all right? But just be honest with yourself, be honest with me, okay? When you watch the guy, like 70% of the time, he's driving you nuts, right? He's gotta be. If you're an Indiana fan and you're watching Lance Stevenson, I bet you more often than not, the guy's just driving you nuts. I know he drives me nuts when I watch him play. Anyways, here's Indiana's projected roster. Now, this is quietly one of the best bench units in the league, but I don't even know if it's quiet anymore. Your 5 guys off the bench are Corey Joseph, Tyreke Evans, Doug McDermott, Kyle O'Quinn, and Domantas Sabonis, not even mentioning either TJ Leaf or Aaron Holiday, who I think both could provide some production as well. I mean, that's just one of the best bench units in the league. Full stop. No ifs or buts. You could argue that is the best bench unit in the league. Like mentioned earlier, three-point shooting is really going to be a key factor for the Pacers this season. I do want to see how Nate McMillan changes the offensive scheme. One thing to note is that the biggest reason why the Pacers didn't shoot many threes is because they shot a lot of long twos. The main offenders were Darren Collison, who basically took as many long twos as he did three-pointers, which, given how well the guy shot from three last year, that should not happen this season. Oladipo, Corey Joseph, and Miles Turner also shot a bunch of long twos. So ideally, what I want to see is just take less of those long twos. And when you're implementing your scheme, for example, you could run your pick and rolls higher and further away from the three-point line, so that when the guards attack, they can have more space and more opportunities to shoot pull-up threes instead of pull-up twos. When Miles Turner picks and pops, pop a little bit further, pop a little bit to the three-point line more often, just little stuff like that. Now, none of their additions, I think, are going to make a huge difference defensively. If anything, McDermott is going to need some help defensively. Now, they were right around league average last year in defense. If I had to bet, I would say they stay somewhere right around there. Maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse, but somewhere right around league average. Vegas odds has Indiana winning 48 games. I didn't have to think too long about this one. I'm going over. This team is so deep that outside of Oladipo, they could actually have two of their starters miss half the season with injuries, and I'd still pick them to win over 48. Indiana's looking pretty damn good, I have to admit. They also have a ridiculous amount of cap space next summer, like a ridiculous amount. So that'll be fun to watch as well. But just a warning, don't pull a Portland and give like $50 million to Evan Turner, Allen Crabbe, and Myers Leonard. Just don't do that and you'll be fine, Indiana. All right, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're someone who uses Instagram, make sure to go follow me on Instagram. I'll link it down below in the description, as well as probably in the top comment. I think we're right about halfway through this 30 teams in 30 days challenge. So we got 15-ish left to go. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.